pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is our meeting for facility committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Savas.
Here.
Hightower.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Mason. Here. Mora. Here. O'Connell. Here. Sosa.
Do we have any public participation renewal? Mr. Vernon? No. Mr. President, thank you. No business? Okay, no business. Well, we're turn over here.
Yes, so tonight you have Jeremy Rowling, Tom Leonard, Brett Schuster, Justin Kelly, and Dan Kira, Chris Levane, to present information on the change order review, a construction budget update, and then a construction project update.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'll start it off here with the construction update as far as progress goes here at Sunnyside and Carter. Unfortunately, I don't have a drone video for you this month. It's too cold to fly last week, so we need a little warmer weather, and then we'll get another one of those captured here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But progress has gone well, as you can see as you drive up to the school. Steel has continued. The whole front side or east side of the building is set, and we have two sequences of steel left, which is the northwest corner of the building. So steel is being fabricated for that portion right now, and we expect all of that steel on site by middle of February. And then there'll be information coming out. So we're going to do a little topping out ceremony, where we're going to have a bead painted white. And we'll have that available for students and staff to sign, and then we'll have a little ceremony to erect that final beam. It'll be on the west side of the building. So we'll get some information about that shortly here. But we are nearing the end of structural steel. Like I said, that should be mid to late February, weather depending. So cold days like this, the next couple of days we're losing some days on steel, but there's plenty of other work to be done at this point. We have started a little bit of roofing work as well with some vapor barrier, just trying to get things dried in. We are heating a good portion of the building on the first floor level with temporary heat right now in area A and E, which is the Sunnyside portion of the school. You can see here in this bottom right picture or bottom left corner, both of those areas have walls framed. They have ductwork installed. They have piping installed. Area A was the first area, and that's probably 95% complete overhead. Electrical's going in. Fire protection is about the only thing not installed in there from an overhead system. We've even got some mold proof drywall on the tops of walls in areas that once the mechanical systems go in, it's nearly impossible to get back and get those properly installed. So you'll see some of that in there. There's some other photos in my report as well that give you a broader overview. Bathrooms are roughed in. Concrete slabs are poured on about 50% of the building right now. So that's first floor and second floor. We're prepping for another big pour, I believe, Friday this week here to capture another section of the building. So they just keep chasing steel. We did pour the MacArthur Gym. We also, the slab at the MacArthur Gym. We also received the first two air handling units last week. So those have been set and assembled in the MacArthur mechanical room, which is on the second floor inside the storm shelter. Those units serve the storm shelter. We've got 5 more air handling units in storage currently, and some of those are being brought to the site either later this week or next week. So we've got some mechanical rooms, slabs poured, and we're ready to set the units in there before we put the roof back on. So mechanically, the boiler room, also the boilers are on site. They're in place. A lot of the overhead piping is done in the boiler room, and it's been a big month mechanically, overhead-wise, big month interior framing-wise, and we're really starting to see what we can consider the build out of the space really start to roll while the outside continues. So, let's see what else. We set the last of the precast panels, right? We had left one out to allow the slabs to be poured, the detailing of all the precast. So we set that, and the precast storm shelter is fully enclosed and complete structural wise. So that was a big milestone last week. That allows us to set the steel on the outside, which is the last two sequences that I talked about. So
The steel, you mentioned steel 5 times.
Yeah.
So are you seeing any disconnect that's going to slow us down any at all? You getting the steel, you said late February, go down here. No, February, what do you thought?
no, we're moving right along. Steel's a little bit later than what we would have liked, but we've been working through some coordination issues, and so it's lagged a little bit. But what is good is originally in our bid schedule, I've talked about steel bar joists, roof joists several times over here. And we always, from back in May, when we awarded the contract, we anticipated that those bar joists were going to be late, right? So we were going to have about a month lag between the structural steel you see here erected to the time the bar joists actually showed up. So, and the roof deck can be set. Those bar joists are going to start arriving on February 7th, which is 2 weeks from now. And they will show up in sequence basically every 3 days from there on until the end of February. And the roof and the structural steel are going to finish at the same time now. Instead of there being structural steel, a lag, and then roofing going on, they will finish. So I don't see an issue with it. You know, procurement wise, we did another deep dive today on procurement of stuff. One of our big concerns was electrical gear. We just got word today that our main switch gear powers the whole building is on track for a March 14th delivery date, which is good. That's right in line. We want to start putting power to pumps and mechanical systems probably mid-April. So that's in line. Most of the electrical gear, as I was just skimming through, it's a long list, but we have a lot of the main panels and stuff already on site, transformers and stuff are in shipping right now, and so that all looks pretty good right now as well. Again, I don't have any material delivery concerns this month, but we do continue to watch it. Probably some of our hotter items are glass, which has come up. The aluminum framing for the exterior walls and the glass. We've come up with some guaranteed dimensions or mold dimensions for the framers to frame to. That allows us to get that aluminum fabricated and the glass ordered earlier so that it's here when we need it, not build the walls, measure, order, wait. So we've been working through a lot of those challenges, nothing out of the ordinary there. Just being more sensitive to market conditions. So, any questions on the update or progress?
So schedule-wise,
Yeah.
what are we looking at? It sounds like no major concerns, right?
No, I mean, you know, any given day, if you run a schedule update, we may be a couple of days off here or there, but nothing that's throwing up major red flags at this point. It is tight, but we've always known this was tight, right? This is a big building. We have a 15-month construction schedule for. But
targeting November, December.
October 5th, I think, is the substation. Okay, 6th. I always get the date confused, but yes, it's early October substation completion, and then move in would be winter break of 22 going into 23. Yeah, I don't have any major red flags. Obviously, there's a lot of time. Seemingly a lot of time between now and October yet, but that's coming right up. So we have to be diligent, and it's really going to start moving here. There's a lot happening on the inside, like I said, that you can't see. There's also a lot happening that you can see on the outside. But it's going to start moving probably within the next month. We'll start exterior wall framing. We're on track for about mid-February with that. There's a couple basically the kickoff to that is having those roof joists that I talked about. So the framing attaches at the top to those joists. So once those are set, it's all out from there. So then we're framing and sheeting exterior walls. We'll start brick work probably towards late March, early April. Roofing is going to continue here for quite a while in phases and sequences. So, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Mr. Jackson? Please. So go.
All right, my next item is change orders. So we have 6 of them for you this month. So I'll try and speed through these as quickly as I can, but as always, feel free to stop me with any questions. The first one is just what we have listed as district change order 28. And this coincides with what Gold issued as SI 16. It's revisions to lockers, which was actually a no cost portion. There were some added acoustical wall panels that were just an oversight in the, not an oversight, but a discrepancy in the drawings, if you will, versus what was bid. An added borrowed light, which is an interior window frame, and a revised details to some overhead coiling doors. And it's a unique detail at the fire separation where we have a double wall where we're putting coiling doors into these openings. Those openings are 16 inches wide. So we needed some structural supports basically to help those doors span the opening. So that resulted in at $20,706. Change order 29 then is coincides with SI 17, and this was for a multitude of things, but mainly ceiling height adjustments based on the bib coordination. But then it also led us to find one area near the MacArthur stage, actually over the ramp and the stairs leading up to the stage, that there was a soffit. It was to do with the section cut, I believe, of how the model was cut to produce reflected ceiling drawings, where we didn't have a ceiling and we didn't have a drywall soffit to create a border for that ceiling. So that's what the added cost is here. But this one is for that ceiling over the stairs and ramp, and that's an added cost of $10,903. Change order 30 is a result of PR 23. And this is for revisions to light fixtures and the light control systems, an add of $7,762. And that is a result of the completed submittal reviews on both the lighting package and control systems and how the two work together. So there were some review comments that resulted in a change there. Change order 31 then is coincides with SI 18, and this is for revisions to exterior wall details. Again, some ceiling height adjustments based on our coordination efforts and clarifications on where the exterior expansion joints are. The added costs here are revisions to the exterior wall and the metal panel eyebrow details is what I call them. But there was some additional, not framing, but some additional sheeting and insulation and weather barrier details that needed to be incorporated to make sure we have a complete system where the wall steps on. So this resulted in an add of $20,302. All right, the next one is change order 32, which is PR 25. This is some flooring revisions. There was some fairly substantial credit for changing some luxury vinyl tile to sealed concrete. It was just a typo in the drawing, so it's bid that way. So we had luxury vinyl tile and a couple of can on the electrical roofs, not necessary in those spaces. So we changed that to a sealed concrete. Got a nice credit there. And then we also had some drywall pipe chases. Again, as a result of the coordination, we realized that there was one or two that needed to be added. A couple of them needed to be adjusted in size so that we could get the ductwork and piping into those enclosures. So this one netted a credit of $9,858. And then the last one here is change order 33, which is a result of PR 26. And this is changes for the electrical system. So there is a short circuit study done as a part of every project. You can't do that study until you have all the gears selected, submitted, approved. All the loads are associated with the building. So that's short circuit study brought about a few changes. Transformer panel sizes, generator connections, and some lighting circuitry into the other. So that one resulted in an add of $25,850.
Would it be adding this sort of load of the emergency generator?
I don't believe we're adding anything on the.
Or let me break.
Sure.
What is the emergency generator going to support?
It's mainly supporting emergency lighting throughout the building, but then the systems in the storm shelter.
And IT systems.
Right. Okay. Systems in your storm shelter, you're talking HVAC.
Correct.
That's where the emergency shelter stays.
Right.
So your HVAC is actually natural ventilation, so it doesn't need to run on the generator. Otherwise, it would have to be within the shelter enclosure, but it does cover some of your emergency lighting in the storm shelter. And then, but yes, it does do your critical IT systems and your emergency lighting, and emergency power for your building.
How
If
big
you're
is the storm shelter?
okay,
Yeah. It's
There's
also
thousand.
10,000 square feet. Yeah. That more, it's the center of the building. Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. Joe, if you could, do you have the summary page? That it's the one with all the colored lines on it. Yes, thank you. You can just go to the, I think it's the bottom of the second page. Just to summarize here, all those changes we just talked about. Again, same color coding system with the blue is the items we talked about for approval. Yellow stuff we're working on. So as you can see, the good news is that there's only, as of the time I put this report together, and I think there's just been one added since then. There's only 2 items in yellow that we're working on, so a total of 3 right now. This cleans up 6 of them that have been outstanding. A couple of these are older than I'd like to be, or like them to be. They're from early November. But the total of those changes is $75,665 here. So we're left with almost 94% of the contingency. And one of those that we're working on in the estimated category is a fairly large credit. So it's pretty nice.
Completion, how near are we? No, we're not 100% yet. What's the completion?
What's the what?
Completion.
Like how far are we? I think I don't remember what I put on the report, but I would say maybe 20. So let's say in the blue box. So 22, about 22%, 22% complete with the Sunnyside Apartment project.
the big things that are unknowns are largely all of your underground, a lot of your steel will complete within the next month and a half. Those would be the critical systems, especially for a new building. You would be worried about or surprised by.
And the other thing you've heard me talk about is the Bib Coordination Process, right? That's our 3D modeling all the mechanical systems and everything that goes overhead, coordinating those so that there's less clashes in the field. That tends to, I think we've talked about that here before, that tends to pull changes forward in the process, and which is a good thing. They're going to come out at some point. It's much cheaper to have them come out early in the process than it is when guys are standing around in the field. But as far as coordination wise, we've coordinated the entire first floor, and we've coordinated about 40%, 30–40% of the second floor. So we're on track right now to complete the coordination process by the end of February for the whole second floor. That'll be the rest. That'll be the building. So that sheds light on a lot of things, but we've overcome a lot of it with that so far.
Any questions? So far, so come. Mr. West? Mr. Jackson? Please. Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy.
So we'll take over for, this is primarily a bid update and a budget update, but there is a little bit of project update there as well. So we'll kick it off with where we're at in the furniture process and what the board can expect. So Joe, if you want to go to the next slide. So we have hit a big milestone in furniture for Riley, Sunnyside, Northlake, and MacArthur. We've garnered all of the user input from staff and teachers from your administration and teaching staff. So with that, we have a couple of other minor elements that we're trying to work through. A tour at a media center in particular up in Lake Zurich with some of the furniture systems we're looking at so that some of the media center specialists can start to understand what their new flexible environment might look like, just to kind of get a feel for that and make some final selections as far as features. We've really focused on features rather than specific items to give us the flexibility to make the right choices for the district overall. And then there are going to be sample student desks delivered to MacArthur this week and then moved over to Northlake for all the teachers to take a look at and make sure that the features we're presenting will work for their needs. So we're talking student storage, the way the chair functions with the desk, the shape of the desk, since they get to be fun now. So that is something that we're working on as far as the last pieces of user input of all of our meetings has been complete. And then the next steps would be bringing everyone in this room pricing in February and looking to order the Riley and Northlake classrooms to make sure that they're delivered by the start of school. So when their classrooms open, the hope is to have new furniture to go with it right away. And then other items can filter in phases. We are still tracking on our original FF&E budget, or furniture, fixtures, and equipment budget. We'll provide a little bit broader update on that following. We're just waiting on some key numbers. We had some things suggested come in, not where we wanted them to be, and so we're working with the vendors to kind of bring those back in line and still make sure that we're getting all the functions and features for the district. So that's kind of the next steps here, and really the overall furniture update. We're really excited that we're going to get as much new as possible for all of those 4 schools. So, any questions on furniture?
Dan, who's your team on that?
We have staff from each of the schools, and then Mr. White attends, Mrs. Vince, I, Mrs. Zimmerman, and Joe. I think he may have been in some of those meetings as well. Kara, have you attended any of the furniture meetings?
Very much so at the beginning when I was so sensible.
And then staff from each of the schools for the administrators.
Mr. Shelton and Mrs. DeSiva from Nutritional Services have sat in on the sessions that pertain to the cafeteria furnishings, even though their focus was the kitchens, but they still sat in to participate in the cafeteria.
It intends to come in one voice, right? One set of furniture, well agreed.
Well, I'm not sure if we're at necessarily one voice, but everyone's had their voice. And then there's been a lot of discussion back and forth about, I'll give you one example I have to remember, Jesslyn, was if furniture moves, is it going to be quiet? Will it make a sound? And just how that went back and forth. And then it turns out there are quite a bit of different options you have. I want to say it was either you, Jesslyn, or someone else talked about how they never want to see tennis balls on furniture anymore. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that is exactly right.
Now it's designed you can get furniture that will move and it will be silent to help. I know right now we don't do as much collaboration as we want, but that we're planning for the future. We want to be able to have the kids close again. And that was a pretty robust discussion. I remember that. So everyone had their voice. I'm not sure if everybody got the answer they wanted, but the staff all had an opportunity to talk about that.
Right. Then we'll jump to the next. So a couple of great bids happened in the last 2 weeks since we met. Wanted to touch on asbestos abatement coming in, and that'll be up for recommendation to award tonight. Jeff Camplin, your environmental services consultant, put that together, and it came in at $491,400. So in the budget we had $400,000, and at the last update we were carrying $600,000 estimate. So a little bit of change after his direction, understanding the scope of the project. So we did have the project come in better than estimates, which helped with our overall number and that impact you'll see later, but still a little bit over our original budget that was made 3 years ago. But with that, the other pieces we had 3 technology and security bids open. So security for Riley, North Lake, Sunnyside, MacArthur came in, and then a separate package for Riley and North Lake AV, your audio visual and your technology, and then for Sunnyside and MacArthur we had an audio visual package. So with that, we actually came in with a savings of about $348,000 overall. Again, you see that reflected in your overall master budget, which has helped with the overall budget conversation we're working on. So if you want to go to the next slide. So in the technology bid, we did also include alternates. And in the recommendation letter, I think we spelled this out even clearer, but we provided the option for additional maintenance contracts for security, and we do that as a way for you to see what the cost is going to be to extend those maintenance contracts beyond our typical 1 to 2 years, depending on our base specification. And so we received those prices, but we do also have another security package that needs to go out for this building, Jefferson and Whittier. So we are not recommending that you accept those alternates at this time, because it allows you to see how it goes with this contractor and not lock yourself into the maintenance contract. And then for the AV and technology bids, we are presenting alternates for consideration, not asking for a decision in this meeting, but did want to have a dialogue and a discussion for including voice lift in those AV packages. So one of them, I believe, is $48,000 and change, and one is $51,000 and change. But for a combined cost of $102,270. What that alternate states is it would give you the ability to the system itself. So voice lift is a microphone system connected to the classroom speakers that would help amplify the teacher's voice and programming for that. Without this alternate, you still have your classroom speakers connected to your display screen. And this is something I confirmed with our engineering team. You can purchase later if that's desired. Wanted to bring it up for consideration and discussion here, answer any questions that you have, but given the overall scope of everything, not necessarily recommending at this time, but did want to provide information. So happy to answer any questions anyone has on these bid packages.
Are these bid packages considered in this cost analysis?
Yes.
My question is, $600,000 here as part of the budget.
So that includes $200,000 for what's going to happen in Sunnyside.
Okay. Is this technology that this?
Technology is, but the alternate is not.
And
No, just wanted to make sure we could answer any questions for everyone. If the board feels like they want to accept it, we can bring it back to the February meeting. But
do you need to know now?
no, don't need to.
So the court being, Dr. Sullivan, Mr. White, myself, when they came in and we evaluated them with people, the goal of the 18s, we talked about it and so we wanted to make sure that we had a conversation and included Mr. Vernon in discussion on the voice stuff. So instead of bringing a recommendation to the board tonight, we'll have that discussion with Mr. Vernon on the benefits, pros, cons of it. You know, is it better to move forward now with that and use local funds to pay that, or do we do that at a separate case? But that's why we chose not to take action on that alternate at this meeting. We do have the opportunity to take action separately.
Any questions?
Joe, you can move on to the next one. So then taking a look at bid release number 6, and Jeremy, feel free to jump in at any point, but as part of the recommendations to award, Laura, I'm not sure if the alternates are included, but we did want to discuss 2 of the alternates that were presented as part of the bid documents. And both of these, with conversations with Mrs. Vince and Dr. Sullivan and Mr. White, really understanding the benefits of accepting these alternates. So understanding full budget impact. These are not small. Well, one is a relatively small alternate and one is a little bit larger, but looking at what their value would be to include them versus leaving them out. So we are looking to accept the alternate for Summit, which is $9,600. And the biggest benefit there would be that immediately upon construction completion and once weather is good, you have your play fields for student use. So that is kind of the big driver there immediately behind that addition. But the second alternate is for adding fire protection sprinklers at Northlake. So we do have them in the basement at Riley, and that is because of the design changes we were making did require those to be included. They were never in the original scope of work at Northlake, so we pulled them out as an alternate to see that cost. Ideally, having a under budget or on budget intake would have made this a little bit easier. But in talking with the broader group, this would bring all of your District 87 buildings up to latest and greatest fire protection. So sprinkling all buildings, and so in discussions, if this is something that we're going to pursue, it is possible to use or budget for local funds in discussing with Laura. And then looking forward, if there's any savings to be realized from contingency to kind of offset that. So it was important in all of our discussions, because you're doing such a broad scope of work, the ceilings are already going to be out. This is really the best time to do it. So that is our recommendation moving forward. But again, want to make sure that everyone has the chance to ask questions. That budget summary does include the $227,100 as part of the overage that you're seeing, as well as the $9,600.
So a little confused here with your second bullet point, accept as well as being all District 87 buildings are police fire safety. So if you do not accept this alternate, are you telling us that our schools are not police sprinkled, that Northlake is not police sprinkled?
That is correct. So in order to be consistent with fire code, with the revisions and upgrades that we were doing, it was not actually required for sprinkling to happen. And that was uncovered even in referendum planning. So some of the life safety modifications that are part of the bid package kind of worked to make sure that it stays up to fire code with hardware and things like that without the sprinkler. It's not required. We aren't changing the occupancy or anything. It doesn't actually, it's not required to have sprinkler in fire code. What it does is it changes the amount of area you can have between separations. But it would certainly help with time getting out of the building, and I know the fire district would be pleased if you were able to sprinkle.
So what, okay, still a little confused. I would expect our schools to be sprinkled for the fire department. what area would not get captured that would not be required to be sprinkled?
So fire code does not require you to sprinkle buildings, especially existing conditions, if you're maintaining all the same exiting requirements and things like that. It is recommended to upgrade, but it is not a requirement to be up to fire code to have, if you don't have a sprinkler, you're still okay. It just changes some of the way your doors may work or things like that, but it doesn't actually require that you have sprinklers to be up to fire code. What we're doing at Riley, because we are creating openings, glass openings into the learning commons, it alters the existing condition fire code that allows it to stay unsprinkled. So we had to add the sprinklers in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I the changes throughout different areas, I understand that. I'm a little surprised. Surprised that's not the case. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you have buildings that are grandfathered, but you have a fire inspection that happens on a regular basis from the fire department, and I would expect that would be a recommendation to inspections. So that's the part that's surprising. Okay.
There was a lot of discussion on that and felt that that was the only building that wasn't fully sprinkled. And we should move forward with it at that price. Because we're opening up all the seasons, the time to do it, we'll bring them all. And then we will likely see benefit on property liability insurance.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, there's an
In
offset.
addition to the safety of the staff and students, there are the other benefits.
I'm thinking a bit more of the safety aspect that if you were to have an event, are we going to justify the loss of life?
That was the driving decision. That was the driving decision on it.
Yeah.
That we have all the other buildings are fully sprinkled. Because now Riley, with those changes, are we put where to have it, and they would have it. And how can we not do that? And then this amount, the discussion, I felt very comfortable appropriating local funds to cover that. And as Jessica mentioned, there may be, when we're at the end of the project, there may be contingency money or allowances that are unused that help.
But you will be bringing all the buildings on the same code, right? That's just.
Yeah.
Any questions from the board on this particular certification? Thanks, Carl, for bringing it up. Very serious issue.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm taking it back. No word with the county, so. Really about that.
So just kind of one last overall look. I know you all have the detail in front of you, but we did want to highlight some of the changes from the last meeting. So this is the overall summary updated with the bid results from home abatement, technology, and security. And it does include the number for those alternates. So like I said, this is an all-encompassing number. And then taking a look, since the last meeting, we did get confirmation that the district was awarded the $50,000 level maintenance grant. And so that is reflected as part of that cost as well.
What is the progress on, if there's some follow-up meetings, reviews, what potential savings, the value engineering? I'll call it out myself, but I just saw the flooring that's happening. Absolutely,
Right.
I'll get it, see whatever. But I can see, you're doing all these drawings, trying to get everything together, so yeah. But,
Joe, if you want to go into the next slide, that's a perfect segue. So taking a look, this is the updated list of likely and possible savings. We spent a lot of time going through, we created a go, no-go list, and went through options to see what was viable from a standpoint of, does this impact the longevity of the facility or the maintenance? and took out those items that we felt were compromising in that way. We also looked at the list of whether or not we were playing with any legal line we were not comfortable looking into. So some of the solutions that came up through the VE discussion were changes to mechanical systems that ended up both creating a maintenance difficulty and started to change the intent of the spec, and that is not something that through the process we're recommending is allowable or permissible. So we took out those items, and in order to make sure that we're mitigating risk by rebidding, we are recommending the award of 19 bid packages, but that is also with us knowing that we have narrowed down the list and have a confirmed savings of at least $1 million. There are still items that we are looking at that involve multiple trades, and will just take a little bit more time, but been working closely. Wold and Gilbane's teams have been working closely to iron out some of those easy discussions, or we're calling them easy, but they really just involve 1 or 2 trades. And taking a look at things like LVT. Can we get the same quality and find a different product that doesn't require a higher price? So that is something that we are looking at. That's the flooring, carpet versus LVT. We've had extensive conversations with our mechanical team to make sure that the scope is in alignment on controls and realize some significant savings there. Something as simple as having planar-rated cable instead of running conduit for your fire alarm, which is not required. Realizing some savings there. So really taking a look at those items on the left have confirmed costs associated with them that are being vetted and made sure that you're getting fair value there. And then we're looking at additional options on that possible savings. So since the last meeting, we've been able to confidently add another 100,000, but we are looking at upwards of another $1 million in other changes, but we are still evaluating to make sure that they're not impacting maintenance or longevity. The other piece of it that we did look at a critical lens on is equity. So making sure that nothing was on the table that changed the Riley and Northlake facilities away from the intent of having equitable learning environments to what we're doing in the building. So those items were immediately wiped off the table, which is something that impacts that possible savings category, but not as significantly as some of the others. So still actively looking. I know Jeremy and his team have been working heavily on pricing and getting with contractors to see that fair value.
So the approximate, does that make up the likely savings or likely savings and possible savings?
That's just likely savings.
Just likely. So we have a potential more than possible. Is that really reflected in here?
No.
Okay. Next question. EAS, excellent ideas. The ones that I looking a little bit closer at, and I want to understand the impact. I'll look to our facilities director. So EAS temperature controls, it's not just the HVAC control valves. What is the impact that we're seeing? What is the impact of that change?
Control points.
Okay.
They had a massive number of points that they were monitoring.
Okay.
It doesn't affect.
Okay. Points to individual rooms,
Points to,
zones.
I mean, yeah, it's like every zone has so many points of readings.
Okay. We can always add those points in the future, right?
We could, we needed to.
Okay. Would BAS systems be interested? Or being recommended? Or?
Let's go with first video.
Pretty, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Who's the vendor? All precision. Okay.
A lot of the alignment with the controls contractor has just been verifying scope. So they made some assumptions that were higher than what we had intended in our specifications as well. So it's kind of bringing that in alignment, and they've been really great to work with and making sure that they're capturing all that.
The question related to that, was an issue with Target or one of the retailers that firewall and access sensitive data. I think that was that approved. I don't care if it's that.
Yeah, an important thing with remote access is anytime you give credentials to a vendor, you only provide the credentials to the specific tool that they're supposed to be looking at. So even if there is malicious intent, they can't get to other content throughout your network as well. So it's just one way to mitigate risk when providing remote credentials. And that's something we do for any vendor that needs to remotely access any of our systems.
And so the last piece, Joe, if you want to go to the last slide, is just kind of what we've been doing since then. So since the last update, we're finding those options, and we have met with the district attorney one more time just to verify that what we are doing is on the correct course. So the next steps tonight, we're looking at the recommendation and approval of those 19 bid packages. Then we'll prepare change documents to reflect those savings items and start to provide those to Gil Bay for pricing for PRs. So you will see those come through as change orders. That's why we're showing it at least $1 million. Right? So we'll start to see those credits come in over the next few months. We'll get as many upfront as we can, and then some of those that are more coordination will lag. So then I just kept the same expectations, sufficient savings to meet budget, ability to stay on schedule for the summer. That is kind of the goal of tonight. And then we did talk about as a group pretty extensively about any additional deficit being covered by reducing contingency at this building, the new building, or realizing savings and allowances. And Jeremy, feel free to elaborate, but a lot of the conversation was making sure that you're still getting a facility that works and functions the way the district intended, in the interest of equity, and making sure that you have a high level facility. Getting that last 250, 300,000 out, maybe a little bit more painful than the first pass through. So we spent a lot of time talking about where we were at in this project and how comfortable we were with the savings there, the spending, and where we're at in the process, much like you alluded to earlier, to try and offset that so that you're not scraping away a lot to have a payback at the end that's higher than that is our full update. Any questions, comments?
All
Yes,
Mr. Jackson, question? Very good update. Thank you, guys.
Great job.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for finding all those savings.
Yes, keep finding.
We'll keep working.
All right. Okay, anything else, Mr. Martin? Your face? Anything else?
End of our information for the facility committee.
Have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Mason and Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
Okay. I think we're ready to our regular board meeting. Well, we're going to vote all this in open session.
It'll be an open session in the regular meeting.
Like Mr. Schuster to stay.
Okay.
So Mr. Schuster, you're able to stay?
Yes, I
Okay. Mr. Critter, do you need to share anything before? Jackson, anything there? Tom? Karen? So Mr. Schuster, you stay, and then everyone else should finish, so. Appreciate it very
So
much.
guys, welcome to stay there. We don't want Okay. Let's call the regular board meeting in order. Roll call, please.
Chavez.
Here.
Hightower.
Here.
Jackson. Mason. Mora.
Yeah.
O'Connell.
So the next section is all of the bid awards, which will include the 19 bid packages for the bid release 6, as well as the asbestos abatement and security packages that we discussed in the facilities committee. Starting with trade package 02B demolition work. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education award the trade package 02B demolition work to Terra Demolition for their base bid and alternate one in the amount of $925,500.
No motion? Ms. Moore? And Mrs. Chavez? Roll call, please.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
The next one is that the Board of Education accept and approve the request for withdrawal of bid from RV Builders Corp. And award the trade package 04B masonry work to Jimmy's Masonry in the amount of $1,897,000.
A motion? Ms. O'Connell? Roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award trade package 05C miscellaneous metals work to K&K Ironworks LLC for their base bid in the amount of $969,000.
A motion? Mr. Jackson? Ms. O'Connell? Roll call, please.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 06D general trades work to DBM Services Incorporated in the amount of $2,847,000.
A motion? Mr. Chavez and Ms. Mason? Roll call, please.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower. Jackson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 07C roofing work to Ellens and Nation Roofing and Sheet Metal Incorporated in the amount of $2,247,000. $2,247,290.
A motion, Ms. Moore? Second? Mr. Jackson? Roll call, please.
Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award trade package 07D metal panel work to American Igloo Builders in the amount of $488,960.
A motion? Ms. O'Connell? Second? Ms. Moore? Roll call, please.
O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 08B glass and glazing work to 3F Corporation in the amount of $1,368,000.
Motion. Ms. Mason? Ms. O'Connell? Roll call, please.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower. Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award trade package 09G drywall and framing work to DBM Services Incorporated in the amount of $1,255,000.
Motion. Ms. Moore? Second? Ms. O'Connell? Roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 09H acoustic ceiling work to E&K of Chicago in the amount of $663,032.
A motion. Ms. Mason? Mr. Jackson? Roll call, please.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 09I painting work to Nedrow Decorating Incorporated in the amount of $386,500.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell, second. Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora. O'Connell.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 09J flooring and tile work to TSI Commercial Floor Covering Incorporated in the amount of $2,458,695.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award trade package 11C kitchen equipment work to Percentages Ltd. in the amount of $614,880.
Roll call and motion. Ms. O'Connell, second. Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 21B fire protection work to Absolute Fire Protection in the amount of their base bid, $323,750, and accepting alternate 3 in the amount of $227,100.
Motion. Ms. O'Connell, Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 22B plumbing work to C.R. Leonard Plumbing and Heating Incorporated in the amount of $1,341,500.
Motion. Ms. Moore, second. Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 23B mechanical work to Advanced Mechanical in the amount of $6,475,000.
Motion. Ms. O'Connell, second. Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 26B electrical and low voltage work to Mini Incorporated in the amount of $4,695,000.
Motion. Moore, second. Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 31B excavation and site utilities work to Berger Excavating in the amount of $1,547,000.
Motion. Mr. Jackson, Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the trade package 32C site concrete and paving work to Abbey Paving Company Incorporated in the amount of $272,555.
Motion. Yes. And Ms. Roll call, please.
O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award trade package 32D landscaping work to Breezyville Landscaping Incorporated in the amount of $66,000 for their base bid and accept alternate 2 in the amount of $9,600.
Motion. Ms. O'Connell. Ms. Mason, Ms. O'Connell. Roll call.
Chavez. Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
Take your time.
That the Board of Education award the Riley and Northlake Schools of asbestos abatement to Valor Technologies Incorporated in the amount of their base bid proposal for all phases and bonds for Northlake Middle School in the amount of $324,900 and the Riley Intermediate School in the amount of $166,500 as presented.
Motion? Mr. Jackson, Ms. O'Connell, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That the Board of Education accept the Sunnyside MacArthur AV project bid from 22 Tones for their base bid in the amount of $493,470 as presented. And should say award the Sunnyside MacArthur AV project.
Motion? Ms. Mason, Ms. Moore. Roll call please.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That the Board of Education award the Riley Northlake AV project bid from 22 Tones to 22 Tones for their base bid in the amount of $391,208 as presented.
Motion, Mr. Moore. Second, Ms. O'Connell. Roll call please.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And that the Board of Education accept the district-wide security improvements project bid from Video and Sound Service Incorporated in the amount of their base bid of $569,624.67 and reject alternates 1 and 2 as presented.
Motion, Ms. Mason, Ms. O'Connell. Roll call please.
Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Motion carried.
The bid awards. For this for tonight.
That's for the minute. Bid award.
Nice job, Mr. Vince.
Good job. Okay. Public participation, written?
We ask that the board for written correspondence accept the written correspondence as presented. Yeah, we need a motion.
Ms. Mason? Ms. O'Connell. Roll call.
O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. Motion carried.
And there is no public comment, no oral presentations. Yeah, I just double checked with Mr. Byrne. We have no oral public comment.
Consideration of full bidders. Move the accept the minutes as in the file. Yep, Ms. Mason. And Ms. O'Connell. Roll call.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
Mr. TIA, all reports.
No old business.
Okay. No business.
Mrs. Zimmer?
Yes. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the accounts and claims payable authorization as presented. There were no questions this month.
Everybody's hand. Mr. Chavez, Ms. O'Connell. Motion. Roll call.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Mr. Travis, no business?
I have one more.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
The monthly building rental report is included in your packet for your review, and this is for informational purposes only.
All right.
Thank you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Positive.
And you've done a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Travis?
No, yes.
All right.
Consideration for closed session?
Yes, with a few items.
So go to the closed session for a few minutes, so. Motion. Ms. Mason? Ms. Moore? Roll call?
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora. O'Connell. Travis. Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, we should be in closed session. You got a long list for?
It shouldn't be too long.
Shouldn't be too long, all right? That's what you said.
Good job.
Board reports.
What?
Board report, let's see.
Oh, do I need to do this?
I am here to report to that point, Mr. O'Connell.
Okay. All right, we had a PACE meeting on the 19th of January. I'm not going to read the minutes. The only thing I'm going to say is our next PACE meeting will be Wednesday, February 16th at 6 p.m. Okay?
Okay.
I'll just keep going PACE as long as I'm supposed to.
Thank you, thank you.
You are most welcome.
Ms. Mason, we have anything from
No report.
the report? Okay. Mr. Harris? Either legislative report, please? Okay. We had a report, we had a facility meeting before this one, so it is 25 minutes going forward. Okay. We have any other reports from the board members? Okay. Superintendent reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. We ask that the board accept the resignation of the following personnel effective January 28, 2022. Danielle Pruden, MacArthur, cross-categorical teacher.
The motion, Ms. O'Connell and Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora. O'Connell.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Hightower. Jackson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the licensed personnel leave requests as presented for Kenneth Gardner, Stephen Bear, Marie Peterson, Nyla Yukani, Regina Rotterman, Katie Kalinovich, and Danielle Pruden.
A motion, Mr. Chavez and Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mora. O'Connell. Travis. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Motion carried.
We ask that the board accept the resignation letter of the following personnel: Noemi Liberio, Riley, nurse, effective January 4th, 2022.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
O'Connell. Travis. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the educational support staff leave request as presented for Marcela Ramirez and Barbara Alessi.
Motion, Ms. Mason and Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Travis. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carried.
We ask that the Board of Education accept the following policies for adoption. Policy 506.03, employee ethics, conduct, and conflict of interest, revised. Policy 523.01, awareness and prevention of child sexual abuse and grooming behaviors, new. Policy 527.00, educational support personnel, sick days, vacation, holidays, and leaves, new. Policy 707.01, attendance, pregnant students and students who are parents, revised. And policy 708.00, religious reasons, revised.
Motion, Ms. Moore and Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Travis. Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the fundraisers as presented. MacArthur 8th grade team potbelly event, Be My Valentine grams and flowers. You've got a friend in me grams and bracelets. I'm lucky you're my friend grams and lollipop. And for the Southside PTO, Panda Express family meal night.
Motion, Ms. Mason and Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Travis. Hightower. Motion carried.
We ask that the Board of Education accept the following donation as presented. Books in the approximate amount of $4,600 from books and homes to Riley School.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Chavez. Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carries.
We ask that the Board of Education approve the serious safety hazard annual resolution as presented.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Motion carries.
We ask that the Board of Education declassify the following closed session minutes as presented. May 24th, 2021, number 1, May 24th, 2021, number 2, July 26th, 2021, August 30th, 2021, September 27th, 2021, and October 25th, 2021.
Motion, Ms. Moore and Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Motion carries.
We ask that the board approve the request for use of North Lake Middle School to host the Illinois Grade School Music Association Concert Band Contest as presented.
Motion, Ms. O'Connell and Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. Motion carries.
We ask that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding with the Berkeley Education Association for instructional coaches and library media specialists as presented.
Motion, Mr. Jackson and Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Motion carries.
And then for my roll report, I attended with Mrs. Vince a credit rating due diligence call with Standard & Poor's. Mrs. Vince and I had that meeting to affirm our AA- bond status for the 9 million bonds we plan to sell and for the refunding options. And we're happy to hear today that our AA- negative rating was affirmed today. So Mrs. Vince, thank you for all your help with that. And she prepared me well for the call, so I learned a lot. Also, I just wanted to say a thank you to all of our District 87 staff. That's teachers, teacher assistants, everyone you can think of, crossing guards, bus drivers, substitutes, teachers, teacher assistants, cafeteria staff. I'm going to forget somebody, custodians. I had a long list which went out in a newsletter about it, but I just basically wanted to say to everyone publicly, thank you. Because without their support and their commitment to our children, we would not have been able to keep our schools open during this trying time. But I'm just so proud of them and the impact they're making on the lives of our kids. And we talked about as a staff and as a school district how each of us may not always be in the same boat, because each day our circumstances can change. So we might be in different boats every day, but we've been in the same storm and we've hung in there together. And I'm very proud of the Berkeley team and all the support of our Board of Education. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone.
And before we move on, you got the entire administration, your leadership has been special, so thank you as well. Thank the entire administration staff. She's done a good job.
Also, just a few more items. We are working on our staffing recommendations for the 2023 school year. So we're working on that for our plan. And then also we plan to inform PACE, which we're required to do, of our staffing needs by January 31st. So each year we have to inform PACE of what our anticipated staffing needs are. So we will do that. And then finally, I just wanted to say a big thank you to someone I've known for a long time, but it's only recently I've had a chance to work closer with. So I just wanted to say thank you to Angie, Miss Angie Bayan, not only for all of her help, because she has been so helpful for me, but I knew this even before I knew her. When I was at Northlake, her mother worked in the cafeteria, so I got to know her mother. I had the chance years ago also, we had a special event at Northlake, opening up a time capsule. And when that happened, I had a chance to meet Angie's son. he came back for that. So I got to meet him. So I've known Angie, I've worked with her, but these last several months as superintendent, I can't tell you how much I've learned from working with Angie and how much she cares for our kids and for our families, and we will not let you down. We're going to keep this going. So I would just like everyone who's here and everyone who is watching remotely to just give a round of applause to Angie.
Give me a roll call.
This is everyone's turn.
All right.
So I wanted to give everybody just a quick update on our ELA pilot. We are progressing with it. We are in our 4th week. Our teachers have been doing an amazing job, which is really challenging in the midst of the pandemic. So I applaud them for their efforts of taking on this challenge. Our pilot teachers have been receiving some coaching support from American Reading Company, which is the curriculum material that we are piloting. And I just wanted to share a couple of comments from our pilot teachers. One of the teachers said, I can already see the students' progress in both quality and quantity of their writing and their responses. Students are really enjoying the independent reading time. It's nice to be able to know that our students are working through an entire book instead of reading the first part of 20 books and then putting them down and not getting engaged in the reading. One of the 7th grade teachers said our 7th graders are loving the books. They're very excited to get to read their books. Several of our students want to take them home or on winter break. And we're looking for different avenues in the library and in Sora so that they have that opportunity. Which I thought was a great testament to middle school that they were really excited and engaged with the books that they provided as part of their classes. But we are continuing. As with anything new, there's a bit of a learning curve, and so trying to get some more information and continue to build our understanding around the materials and exploring those materials in the instructional framework. So we'll continue to work with we support our District 87 instructional coaches to help support our teachers as we explore these materials. And so we'll be continuing to report back on how that initial just window into that progress. I am working with our 6th grade, or our Spanish teachers to develop a course so we can add 6th grade Spanish to the middle schools for next year for our exploratory projects for our students. So I hope to review that proposal with you at the upcoming board meetings. To do that February or March. We're working on that proposal for you. And I also wanted to share with you some of our continuing COVID mitigation efforts. We have had, we are continuing to increase our vaccination and testing rates. We had over 100 students receive their 2nd COVID-19 vaccine at the Sunnyside and Brighton clinics. And our next clinic is Thursday, January 27th. We had 25 families join Dr. Madrid from UIC for the BPAC Spanish COVID-19 Spanish Awareness at our December virtual event, which was really exciting. And we are continuing our shield testing, and we continue to have more families opt in for that weekly testing.
Any questions? Report, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, technology, Mr. Barnes.
Yeah, just a few quick updates, go along with some of the relevant conversations. So some of the projects won't necessarily go out to bid from the construction company. So in collaboration with them, we've reached out to a few vendors. So we got 3 quotes from 3 different vendors. The reason we're approaching it this way is because we want to get that quote submitted as soon as possible because delivery times are very long still, especially for specific technology items. So the quotes that came back were favorable in cost, came in about $25,000 under what is anticipated, so we feel really good about that. And then an update again with some equipment for our schools. We just had our evaluation for our E-rate work. That's where you call the 470. It's your wish list or your items that you need for infrastructure. So we got 3 bids from We got several bids from 3 different vendors. And that's going to include all the network equipment for Riley, Northlake, Sunnyside, and MacArthur. That includes all switches, all access points, UPSs, and some other miscellaneous equipment as well. So we finished with evaluations. We'll be working to bring contracts to the February board meeting. So everything is in place to be in alignment with our construction timeline for the treatment sites. So those are just a few quick updates.
Thank you. Yep. Appreciate it. Okay, Ms. Vince.
The summary of budget, statement of position, and student activity reports for the period ending December 31, 2021 are provided for your review. Next item is an annual item. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education designate the superintendent and assistant superintendent for finance and operations to prepare the 2022-2023 budget in tentative form.
Ms. Mason and Mrs. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Travis. Motion carried.
Next item is also an annual item addressing property tax appeals. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education adopt the property tax year 2021 resolution authorizing intervention in proceeding before the state property tax appeal board as presented.
Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Motion carried.
The change orders that were discussed in the facilities committee are presented tonight for your approval. Suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve change order number 28 through 33 as presented.
Motion. Ms. O'Connell, Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Motion carried.
And earlier tonight, we awarded 19 contracts out of bid release 6. And at this point, we would present this to the board to assign those contracts to the main company. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education assign the awarded bid for trade package 02B demolition work, 04B masonry work, 05C miscellaneous metals work, 06D general trades work, 07C roofing work, 07D metal panel work, 08B glass and glazing work, 09G drywall and framing work, 09H acoustical ceiling work, 09I fire prevention work, 09J flooring and tile work, 11C kitchen equipment work, 21B fire prevention work, 22B plumbing work, 23B mechanical work, 26B electrical and low voltage work, 31B excavation and site utilities work, 32C site concrete and paving work, and 32D landscaping work as presented and approved to Gilbane Building Company, and authorizes the board president and administration to take all actions reasonable and necessary to accomplish the assignment.
Motion, please. Ms. Mason and Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Motion carried.
As part of the bond issue, the next item is the letter of engagement for Chapman and Cutler to provide legal counsel on the bond sales. And that would include Series 22A, which is the general obligation bonds of $9 million, and then the limited tax refunding bonds, Series 22B. So they would provide legal counsel on both of those transactions. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the letter of engagement of Chapman and Cutler LLP for bond counsel and disclosure counsel as presented.
Motion, please. Ms. Mason and Ms. Chavez. Roll call, please.
O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower. Jackson. Mason. Mora. Motion carried.
The next item, due to timing, the administration authorized the additional soil borings to keep the project moving forward. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education ratify the proposal from ECS Midwest LLC for additional soil borings and reporting as presented.
Motion, please. Ms. O'Connell. Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Chavez.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the last item is that the suggested motion is that the Board of Education adopt the resolution to participate in the Teachers Retirement System of Illinois Supplemental Savings Plan, Voluntary 457B, Deferred Compensation Plan as presented, and that such adoption does not constitute an endorsement of said plan.
Motion, please. Ms. Mason. Ms. O'Connell. Roll call, please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Mason. Mora.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then I wanted to share with the board that on Wednesday of this week, I'll be attending the EDC preliminary renewal meeting for the preliminary updates on the medical renewal, insurance renewal information. And the bond pre-pricing call will take place on February 7th. Dr. Sullivan and I will attend that call with Mesro Financial, PMA Financial, and on February 8th, we would get the final pricing call. And on February 8th, as a reminder, we would do Mr. Hightower, Mr. Chavez, and Ms. Mason available for signatures on the documents. February 8th. Okay, so that changed. So one would be the one or the other. So Mr. Hightower.
That's Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, February 8th. That is the end of my own report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions?
It is, that's the day, we have the pre-pricing call the day before, and then they actually go out to sell, and then we have to sign on like that, that's that day. So, but it requires one or the other. So,
All right.
it's okay, that's, I'm gonna remind you, stay with you.
Any other questions? Good job.
Thank you,
You have done a fantastic job.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. White. Good. Hi, young man, how you doing?
Right, now, the first one is the Oaks and parking lot number.
Yes.
The old building before the parking project, we had about 40 spaces, on our property around the building. The new one has 83 spaces. We added a total of 43 additional parking spaces to this project.
What are the takeaways so far from any administrators appointed? Positive, negative, indifferent?
Well, it's all positive. All the spots are being used. People, I think, are definitely using all of the new spots. Now, Mr. White's going to have some conversations because we've noticed a few people on, I want to say it's 20, have been parking in the bus cutout. But other than that, and it's night and day. So when you go to Jefferson now and you see all the available parking, it really is tremendous because there are a lot of options. And I know at one point we will have that awning that will make it even more conducive for people to be parking over by St. Charles Road. But I would say there's a lot of spaces there. Every time I go by, there are cars there. And then all the other spaces surrounding the building, as Mr. White mentioned, they're all being used. In that large cutout now, all the way along 46th, you see cars there as well. So it's really night and day. Now, Mrs. Travis was principal there for years. So what do you say, Mrs. Travis?
The traffic is a little bit better, but as they get used to it and more, I think it'll get better. But it is absolutely.
And the question now to you, when are we bringing the
the dedication, we're waiting, and I'll double check again with Mr. Schuster. But we are waiting for the equipment to arrive for the playground. And Dale, I'm not sure if there's any more updates. I know that means.
No update?
And this could be just one of those COVID delays, I'm not sure. But I'll keep working with Mr. Schuster on that. And then we'll pick a date convenient after all of the equipment gets put in. And we'll do a nice dedication for Dr. Smith at Jefferson School for the park. The playground.
Thanks for updating those number 8, was a big number. Thank you. Double. What's the others?
All right, the second item is more informative. It's to tell you about Whittier School's playground. So a lot of our newer board members, so they know what's going on over there. I guess about 21, 22 years ago, when the new schools were built, the school district had an inter-office agreement between the city of Northley and Veterans Park District. The district provided the space, the land in that location. The city purchased the playground equipment, and Veterans Park maintains it. We met, Dr. Goldstead, Mr. Whittier, and I met this morning at Grant Park, met with the Veterans Park District. They would like to replace the equipment this summer. So they met with us to show us their ideals of the playground equipment and the time frames. They'd like to go out to bid sometime in about April and work on it during the summer months. So it's going to be really nice. The age category is going to be from 3 to 13 years old. The skate park section will still stay. They're adding a bunch of more equipment. They're adding canopy. They're adding more, picnic tables. So they're redoing that whole section. They're getting rid of the wood chips, using the forward rubber. All of that is at no cost to the district. So they're redoing their bonds. They got some money that way. They get some grants, and that's how they're funding them. So it's going to be real nice when they know what they're fighting.
This is 87 on the move. All right. Good report. Good update. Thank you. Ms. Travis.
Listed for you are the vacancies. We have 8 certified vacancies and 8 support staff. I'm happy, but it's the times that, we're living in and what's going on, with COVID and in education and the job market as well. On January 20th and 21st, I attended the ISBA conference. It's the Illinois Association of School Personnel Administrators Conference. Yeah, it was an awesome conference. Went to sessions on updates and policies. Some of the policies that we have tonight were some of the ones mentioned. So went to a session on updates and policies and laws concerning personnel and HR in Illinois. So coming up the pipeline. Also went to sessions on teacher shortage and teacher retention. How a lot of school districts are dealing with some of the same things that we're dealing with, but also trying to build a positive culture and morale in the field of education as we experience this change. And then last but not least, just establishing and cultivating your leadership skills and abilities during such a challenging time. So again, I really enjoyed the conference, but it also let me get to see other districts across the state of Illinois experiencing the same thing. Downstate, north, in this area, so it was really great to see. It also was great to see that our colleagues at West Point attended this year, so it was great to have them attend. And so we can talk as a community of some of the things that we're doing. And then last but not least, my administrative assistant and I were getting ready for the university career fairs, and this year we signed up for 10. And so I'll be attending Northern Illinois University, Illinois State, University of Illinois Chicago, National Louis, University of Illinois in Champaign, Eastern Illinois. ISLA is having a career fair now at North Central College, Olivet Nazarene University. The IRC is having an ESL and bilingual career fair in Northeastern University. So hopefully, from all of those, career fairs, we're able to recruit some
some teachers are going in with some different strategies. Inviting them maybe to come and visit, our district, maybe while they're on spring break. So when we're interviewing, they kind of can get a feel for us. So trying to think differently. And then we want to ask some colleagues to, join in some of the career fairs, because it's 3 career fairs on one day. Like, they should talk to each other. So it's 3 going on all on March 3rd. So I'm going to talk to some colleagues to try to get them to help with us. And unless you have any questions, that's the only report.
Any questions from Ms. Phelps? Report, thank you, continue with the progress. We appreciate it. We have a job market is kind of challenging right now, but you can do it.
Yes.
We have all the confidence in the world.
We will.
I know. All right. Okay, our next board meeting will be February 28th, 7 p.m. Get it right, Cal. Okay, good motion. Mr. Jackson, Ms. O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Jackson. Mason. Mora. O'Connell. Chavez. Hightower.
Aye.
Oh.